evening. Our top story this week. In New Jersey, a spoiled little Pop-Tart tries to sue her parents for support and tuition after she storms out of the house refusing to follow the rules. But she ultimately loses the case and returns home defeated, although this does demonstrate how dysfunctional the New Jersey family court system is because it enabled her to do this. In Massachusetts, a children's rights lawyer who is in the 5th year of trying to sue the state's child protective industry claims that she was aware of major problems long before the recent media circus over a missing boy and a sick girl. The Child Welfare League of America issues a report against the Massachusetts child protective industry saying that they need to lower caseloads for CPS agents and get rid of convicted criminals in foster homes and give CPS agents smartphones so they can take pictures of the kids. Massachusetts DCF is also refusing to return Justina Pelletier to her home despite a court victory on behalf of her parents, and she just wants to go home as she feels like a prisoner, has been denied visits with her family, and is getting abysmal medical care while in the custody of the Massachusetts child protective industry. In Maine, a CPS supervisor is reassigned to take another job in regards to his failure to take action in the case where kids were abused at a daycare, although some legislators feel that he should have been fired. In Arizona, child welfare advocates are pushing legislators to get a CPS reform bill passed, and a legislative committee member puts Arizona's new CPS boss on the line by suggesting that instead of pumping more money into the agency, they instead review their policies and procedures and not be so quick to remove kids from their parents. In Kansas, the state Senate passes a bill giving foster parents greater say in the child welfare cases, although one senator is worried that these foster parents' rights will come at the expense of grandparents. In Nebraska, the American Civil Liberties Union is seeking complaints from real parents whose kids are in foster care, saying that foster parents are not now but should be respecting the religious beliefs of the kids' families. And in Utah, the legislature is considering bills that would protect the rights of biological fathers whose children were adopted right out from under them by the mothers, although some legislators think that they shouldn't be concerned with the rights of men who father children out of wedlock at all. In Vermont, legislators are deciding whether or not CPS policies need to be updated after they screwed up a case and returned a child to the mother who was killed by the stepfather a short time later. In California, the Sacramento County child protective industry is crying about heavy caseloads for CPS agents, and in Ohio, the Butler County Children's Services is spending 10 times more money to keep kids in foster care than they are trying to reunite their kids with their parents. In Guatemala, a judge rules that an Orthodox Jewish sect can keep their kids until a family court hearing after Canadian authorities failed to provide proper evidence to suggest that they were in danger. International adoption agencies are warning wannabe parents not to try to adopt from war-torn Syria because although the kid might be separated from their parents does not necessarily mean that they're ready for adoption. In Australia, the child protective industry is being accused of repeating the sins of the stolen generations by snatching too many Aboriginal kids. And in New Zealand, 2 parents whose kids was snatched on a false suspicion of child abuse have been awarded legal costs of more than $125,000. In England, social workers are getting burned out from all of the pressure they bring onto themselves with little or no support from their employers. The UK is starting a new 6-month pilot program to place social workers in Norfolk schools to try to identify more needy children to target, and a British mother commits suicide after social workers snatched her 11-year-old son. In California, a CPS agent gets out of charges after her boyfriend was caught with guns in the house and charged with possession of firearms by a felon. And in Indiana, an ex-cop boss is charged with perjury after lying to a federal grand jury who was investigating a high school counselor's sexual exploitation charges. In California, the real family of a 20-month-old whose genitals were burned after being put into a bleach-soaked diaper is suing the foster care insurance fund. In Michigan, the mother who held off a SWAT team and CPS agents who were trying to steal and drug her kids has the charges dropped once again, with prosecutors threatening to appeal a 3rd time. In Florida, police are looking for 4 kids after they went into hiding with their father to avoid being stolen by CPS. And in Mississippi, an immigrant is suing the child protective industry after they snatched her newborn child when she gave birth in the United States where she was living illegally. In Wisconsin, the state ends their probe into a foster care agency that overbilled the state by $6.1 million for lavish expenses, finding no evidence that those expenses were used to set rates for the state. In Washington, a sex abuse victim who got pregnant at the age of 12 wins a $3 million lawsuit after the state failed to protect her from abuse. The state of Washington is also going to be paying $8 million to a group of 6 siblings who were abused while in the care of a family friend while the state failed to investigate more than a dozen reports of child abuse against them. Another set of adopted twins is claiming that Washington's social workers failed to respond to years of warnings that their adopted parents were beating and starving them and is preparing to sue as well. And finally, tonight in Pennsylvania, a real mother is suing a Pittsburgh hospital claiming that officials defamed her and violated violated her doctor-patient confidentiality by sharing the results of a botched drug test with the child protective industry after she tested positive for eating a poppy seed bagel. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.